two identical cars. Two completely identical cars, which differ at first glance only by their color, at least for now. One is red and the other is blue. They went through the same assembly line, under the same robot frames, and through the same exit inspection. Crossroads. There are millions like this in the world. In some places, those on the right have the right of way, and elsewhere, those on the left. But in our case, traffic lights decide. Nevertheless, thousands of accidents occur daily, during which one vehicle rams into the side of another. And it doesn't matter whether you're sitting in a red or a blue car. A collision can occur even at a low speed, and it always results in the same sound of buckling metal, a thud, followed by silence. In real conditions, like in our laboratory environment, such a collision is not a matter of life, but only of a dented vehicle body. Identical cars and absolutely the same collisions at a speed of 30 kilometers per hour were recorded from many angles using a slow-motion camera. Everything took place exactly based on constructors' calculations. The cars absorbed the kinetic energy of impact, and along with their airbags, they reliably protected the vehicle occupants from injury.
Všechny vozy Skoda byly vyvinuty tak, aby byly maximálně bezpečné. Pro jejich výrobu používáme nejmodernější technologie a materiály. To se odráží také v potřebě neustálé aktualizace pokynů pro opravu našich vozů. Projektem Fair Repair chceme poukázat na nebezpečí, které může nastat při nedodržení předpisů výrobce při opravě vozu.
Thanks to laboratory conditions, we have been able to simulate identical collisions at the same speed and angle at a B-column. Very few can imagine in advance just how destructive a collision can be, even at a mere 30 kilometers per hour. The path of both cars was identical, and at first glance it will continue to be. The amount of damage is within the limits of affordable repair, and therefore both vehicles are heading to a service center, where repairs will be carried out using original Skoda parts. The blue Octavia will be placed in the professional care of an authorized service center, which will proceed based on the current Skoda workshop manual. Complete dismantling of the interior will be followed by the straightening bench, a hole drilling cutter, and a special cutter. The roof will be disassembled so that the mechanics can reach the skeleton of the body. The whole side of the car, including the B-column and the threshold reinforcements, will be separated using a cutter. For non-experts, the view of the blue Octavia at this stage may lead to contemplation regarding whether such a harsh intervention is really necessary.
Správný postup opravy vychází z dílenské příručky, kterou naši pracovníci používají. Jde o to, aby struktura bezpečnosti po opravě byla stejná jako u nového vozu.
The deformed floor in the bottom part of the B column will be repaired with the help of a straightening bench. And thanks to the shift of measurement, everything will be restored to its original condition, so that it is prepared for assembly of the new door frame. It is fitted based on the manufacturer's valid guidelines to the skeleton of the body, which, with the help of adhesive sealant and welding, will acquire its original shape. Then, all that needs to be done is to install the new roof and fit the new door, and then the vehicle will be prepared for the painter's work. Before the blue paint dries for us, we will examine the fate of the red Octavia. we entrusted its repair to KTI, a specialized laboratory in Germany. Like with the blue Octavia, also in this case, the vehicle's parts will be pulled out at a cold temperature. But of course now we will straighten the bottom part of the warped B column. The cutter will not touch it, because only the top part of the metal on the side is separated, including the threshold. At least in this phase, the red Octavia, unlike the blue one, still looks like a car. From the new side, the part that exactly fits will be cut off. The original reinforcements of the threshold will remain in place. Like in the case of the blue Octavia, in this case as well, point welding will be done. It looks similar to that which is done in the authorized service center. But are the welds actually routed correctly? And do the welding tongs have the prescribed pressure described in the workshop manual? Like at the beginning, at first glance we see two identical cars, from which it cannot be recognized what kinds of repairs were done a couple of days before. Their paths will be run again in the testing facility, where we will simulate a crash at a speed of 50 kilometers per hour. The team of technicians will fit both cars with many sensors and measuring devices, so that we can gradually evaluate what happens during a collision both to the car and to the vehicle occupants. The driver's role during the tests is played by a figurine who has the same proportions, weight, and even motion of joints as an adult human. The fate of both Octavias has been sealed. A thud, and then silence. At first glance, both Octavias look similar after the crash. Even the figurine has the same facial expression. The figurine has already lived through many similar crashes. But how would a real driver fare? What would happen to him in the blue car? And what would happen in the red one? The data from the sensors is analyzed by a computer. What at first glance appears the same to the human eye could eventually turn out to be completely different. The resulting graphs reveal that the red Octavia reports higher end deformations of the floor. This results in reduction of the space for the passenger's survival. Even a difference of several millimeters can decide about whether the driver suffers only bruises or much more complicated fractures. Much greater deformations have also occurred on the B column, and the basic differences are in the area of impact on the top of the figurine. The driver's head and chest would be subjected to a huge risk of increased burden. The structure of a vehicle repaired without an updated workshop manual will have lower thickness. Around the 50th millisecond of impact, the red Octavia suffered a fracture of the B column in the connection location of the sideboard and its penetration into the interior. As a result of poor fitting and insufficient welding of the side with the threshold, the side section was separated to a great extent from the threshold. Different repairs yield different results, although after the crash, the vehicles looked almost the same. The fact that the same cars were involved for the entire time is also confirmed by a representative of DECRA, which oversaw the entire project.
Inspektoři naší zkušebny dohlíželi na všechny činnosti prováděné na obou vozech. Můžeme potvrdit, že po celou dobu se jednalo o tytéž vozy. Oprava v autorizovaném servisu v Kosmonosech byla provedena přesně podle dílenské příručky. Zároveň můžeme potvrdit, že všechny opravárenské úkony v obou dílnách směřovaly k opravě vozidla s dalším předpokládaným začleněním vozidla do běžného silničního provozu.
Deformation of metal is one thing, but what is most important is how the vehicle occupants turn out. The driver of the red Octavia, repaired without using the current Skoda workshop manual, would, based on the curves of probability of injury for a 45-year-old man, very likely suffer serious chest injuries. The calculations also reveal fracturing of at least 3 ribs, bruising of internal organs, lung rupturing, and filling of the lungs with blood. For older vehicle occupants, like during a higher speed of impact, the consequences of such accident would be even more serious. In the case of the blue Skoda Octavia, which the authorized service center repaired strictly according to the workshop manual, the driver would, according to the same formula, in the worst case suffer bruises to the chest or a non-complicated fracture of 1 to 2 ribs. Whom would you trust to repair your car?
Skoda.